Good morning and welcome to Meet a Missioner Monday. As always, I'm excited to be here with you. My name is Karen Bortvet Estrada and I am your host of Meet a Missioner Monday. This is our opportunity each week to check in on our brothers and sisters around the world, to see how they're doing, to see how they're faring in these times of pandemic, and to hopefully learn a little bit more about those they work alongside in the countries where they serve. As we get started today, I'm going to ask everyone to think about where you were on July 9th, 2011. So 9 years ago, a little more than 9 years ago. Where were you? What were you doing? So why this date? Our missioner today that we're talking to lives and works in South Sudan, which is a country that has only been a country for just 9 short years. And there's a lot of things that come with being a country for just a short time. People have lived there for many generations, but as a country, it's only existed for 9 years and it's come out of civil war and many other hardships. Our missioner today, we also want to note, you won't be able to see him on video because of some tech limitations, so you'll only be able to see the audio, but we hope you'll still be able to learn a lot about his experience in South Sudan. So with that, I would like to welcome Gabe Hurrish, who is our featured missioner today on Meet a Missioner Monday. Gabe is a graduate of University of Dayton, where he got his undergraduate degree. He holds a master's in public health from the University of Boston. He served in the Peace Corps. He's lived in more countries than I can count. He speaks numerous different languages, and he currently works with a group called Solidarity with South Sudan as a Maryknoll lay missioner. So Gabe, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Karen, and thank you for the opportunity to share my mission with the others. And it's good to be here. I apologize, no video, but that's one of the limitations with working here in South Sudan. Things don't always work the way they should.
So even though everyone won't be able to see Gabe on video, we have put together some photos from different aspects of his ministry. So as he's talking about different things, we hope you can see some of the places where he has been. If you do have questions, as always, please put those in the comment section, which either appears below this video on your screen or off to the left, and we will get to your questions just as soon as we can. So first question I have for you, Gabe, is there a local person there that has really inspired you in your work?
Yeah, Emilia Yabong is a married lady who has, on her own initiative, started a women's group. And she worked against a lot of institutional oppression. They don't want the women to organize, but she got about 70 women organized, and she has them doing crafts. She has them making soap. They sell peanuts. They sell handicrafts. They do dresses. They make dresses with sewing machines and things like that. And these women are mostly women who are divorced or single women with children. And recently, Emilia has taken on the law because some of these women have been raped, and she's gone to court with them. And this is not easy because most of the time the courts will rule in favor of the man. So Emilia is just undaunting. She just will not stop. And she has this ready smile for everybody. And she's been attacked herself. She's had her house burglarized, and she just won't stop. She says she does it for the women. She is a complete volunteer, and they are doing all of this with no outside help at all. So I am really impressed by this kind of woman, and these are the people that I'm here for. These are the people that keep me here working amidst all the other challenges.
Wow. She sounds like an amazing person. Gabe, we're looking at some pictures right now of your home in Juba and some water deliveries, charcoal delivery. Can you tell us a little bit about your ministry and about where you're at now?
Okay, we're in Juba. We have a guest house here for Solidarity with South Sudan. We allow all religious to stay here if they're traveling through, although now there is no travel. But we live right there in the house, and we have no water, so we have to buy our water every couple of weeks. In the rainy season, we can collect some rainwater. We are only with solar power and generator power. and Catholic Relief Services next door has a generator, and they've graciously allowed us to have generator power during the day, and then at night we use our own solar power. We're about 4 people living in the house right now, and we have a few staff that come in during the day. My job is administration. I do all of the human resources. I do all the finances. I do all the purchasing and logistics for the house. I'm responsible for the vehicles maintenance and upkeep. I'm also responsible for all the reporting, statistics, data collection. And then I go around and talk to some of the government offices just to keep touch, see what's going on and what's happening. So I've been doing this for a year now. Originally, I was a teacher out west in the teacher training college, but I've been seconded now here to Juba for almost a year now. I'm coming up on. So that's that.
Gabe, can you tell us about the different projects that Solidarity with South Sudan works on?
Okay, Solidarity has a health training program in largest city called WOW, and that's in the north, and that is nurses and midwives. So they're graduating about 30 students every 6 months, or they were before the coronavirus. And then we have a teacher training college in the west of South Sudan in a place called Yampio. And again, they're graduating between 25 and 30 teachers for private school, where I worked for the first year and a half that I was here. And then we have a large farm that does farmer training in technique, new methods, new food, and trying to do improve the production of the farmers in the field. And then we have a pastoral training program. These are all religious, Catholic religious, sisters, brothers, priests. And so there is a retreat center here in Juba, just on the outskirts of the town. And we have a team there that operates that retreat center and provides training for priests, sisters, religious catechists, deacons, and any of the people from the parishes, from the churches. And then the Juba office sort of administers all of that.
Wow, that's a lot of different areas. Right now, there's some photos that we're looking at of Malakal. Could you tell us all a little bit about what Malakal is, what some of these pictures might be about?
Okay, Malakal used to be the second largest city in South Sudan, and then the violence during the civil wars, where it was completely destroyed. Solidarity actually had a teacher training college up there originally. That was all wiped out, completely lost. Many of these people who are Shilluk and Nuer and some Dinka had to go into what they call protection of civilian camps. And they are not allowed to come out of there because they will be killed by the Dinka in the surrounding area. So these POC camps are all over the country, and the United Nations is protecting them. The NGOs have programs inside the camps, and UNHCR, or the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, plus a whole bunch of other United Nations agencies are also working there. Food distribution and water distribution. And then Father Mike Bassano, Maryknoll priest, is up there in the camp itself, and he's doing an excellent job there keeping the parish going inside the camp.
We should mention that Gabe has been working with Maryknoll missioners there in South Sudan for just coming up on 3 years, but Maryknoll has had a long history of involvement in Sudan and then South Sudan when it became an independent country. Mike Bassano, who Gabe mentioned, is one of the folks, and there's a number of other sisters and priests who have come through just in Gabe's time there. Gabe, we do have our first question coming in for all of you watching. If you do have questions for Gabe about his work in South Sudan, please put those in the comments. The first question that we have is, are you near the new school being built by the De La Salle Christian Brothers?
That's in a place called Rumbek, and Solidarity is supporting them in various ways through the banking system with some of the donations. Their people always stay here at the house. 2 of their brothers were actually in the teacher training college for about 3 or 4 months before they went to Rumbek. Rumbek is north of Juba, northwest. It's not very close. Most travel here in South Sudan is done by airplane because the roads are insecure and they are not maintained. So it's about a 45 to 50-minute airplane flight from Juba.
And another question that has come in, it says South Sudan is, to say the least, a very difficult place to work. What is your biggest frustration?
My biggest frustration, oh boy, there's so many of them. I think just the fact that things are said publicly, it all sounds wonderful, it all sounds great and beautiful, but then nothing is done. And so you're waiting for this beautiful new program to take effect and it never does. And you go to we just recently were trying to get some of the new textbooks and it was just going in circles and circles and circles. Finally, we printed our own textbooks because we just couldn't get them distributed to us from the government. So this is probably the peace is so close, and yet they're having difficulties getting the last little agreements in place. And this is frustrating a lot of people here in the country. The population is probably getting very upset now. So we hope that we do not go back to violence again, but there are some indications that are not good.
So for those that are just joining us, you're listening to Gabe Hurrish, who is a Maryknoll missioner serving with Solidarity with South Sudan in South Sudan. If you do have any questions for Gabe about his ministry, please be sure to put those in the comments and we will get to them just as soon as we can. Gabe, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 there in South Sudan and sort of what that looks like.
Yeah, the government initially reacted very quickly and shut down all international travel, shut down the borders. And our institutes we sent all the students home. The agriculture farm was very reduced. There was no pastoral programs at all. That was the initial reaction to the announcement of COVID-19. They have formed a task force, but this is the second or third one, and they just can't seem to get organized. But if you go around the city of, you'll go around some of the countryside, you wouldn't know that there was any pandemic at all because nobody is worried about it. There are very few people can afford to buy masks or gloves or sanitizer. Very few people will do the social distancing. Most South Sudanese think this is kind of a made-up thing, that it's not something to worry about. They're worried more about the communal violence that is occurring all over the country, cattle rustling, revenge, and other violent acts. I think I looked at a statistic in the first 3 months of this year, 8 people per day on average were dying from communal violence. So they really weren't worried about a disease that they cannot see, the COVID-19. So quite honestly, in the day-to-day life, it started off very strong, but now I would say there's hardly any. We still do have the restrictions on travel, and the schools are not open, but almost everything else seems to be going right back to the usual way of life. People are too poor here. They cannot afford miss a day of work because they don't have money for the future. They have to work every day in order to eat.
The idea of physical distancing and masks and all those things, I think we don't always recognize here that that's a privilege to be able to make those choices. Another question has come in from Tony Martinez. Gabe, he says, how big is the refugee children population where you are? And is Maryknoll involved in providing any sort of artistic enrichment activities for them? Painting, drawing, theater, acting, music, anything like that?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. We're Solidarity with South Sudan is not involved with any of those types of things. The only one who I know, there was a program for trauma healing. Many of these people are traumatized by the civil wars and the violence from the preceding 10, 12 years. And they worked with children quite a bit. I don't know about any other programs.
And Gabe, we spoke a little about frustrations. Susan Dries Cadota is wondering, what is your biggest joy being there?
Hi, Susan. We worked in Mission many years ago. My biggest joy is the women. I love to meet these women. I love to talk to them. They are just incredible. And I have a little series that I send out to the people who are on my support list called Woman Strong. And I write up stories of these women. And I just think they're outstanding. They've gone through hell on earth, but they just keep going. And that's what I like. That's what gets me going.
Yeah, I even noticed in some of your pictures, the ones from Malakal, a lot of them, it's the women that are in those pictures that are keeping going.
Yeah, the women are pretty much keeping the churches going. They're pretty much keeping the families going. And they're tough. The African woman won't take no for an answer. She's one tough lady.
I love to hear that. Coralise is wondering, is tribalism still the dominant factor preventing peace? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, we see a lot of issues that are fractured along ethnic lines. And we see a lot of personal initiatives along ethnic lines. And it seems that here most obvious is between the Nuer and the Dinka. The president is a Dinka and the vice president is a Nuer, and there's a lot of tension. But we see other groups as well, and they can't seem to overcome. There are efforts to work with multi-layered groups. These have had some success, but it has a long history of this kind of ethnic rivalries and revenge. So this is one of the real strong issues that needs to be addressed and constantly addressed over and over.
So for those that are just joining us, we're talking today with Gabe in South Sudan. He works with a group called Solidarity with South Sudan.
Hello. Okay.
Can you still hear us, Gabe?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here.
Perfect. So if anyone watching does have questions, please feel free to put those in the comment box. Gabe, we're looking at a couple of pictures from when you were at the teacher training program. Can you talk a little bit about the teachers go through that training, and then are they able to get jobs? Are there schools that have funding to hire these teachers when they go out?
Yeah, that was those teachers are from all over the country. So I've always said that one of the greatest impacts that Solidarity had was bringing these different ethnic groups together. And then they realized that people are people, no matter where they're from. They are there for 2 years. They get a certificate in primary education, and then they go hopefully back to their hometowns and start teaching. We know that quite a few of them are doing exactly that. We even have a few graduates who started their own schools in the camps, in the POC camps and in the displaced person camps. But we know that they do not get paid, and if they do get paid, it's almost like $3.50 a month is what some of them were getting paid. So it's a miracle that they actually go into education and stay there. So our statistics show that about 70% are involved in some kind of activity in education.
That's incredible. You have folks going on and regardless of the pay. If they're called to be a teacher, they're clearly using those skills. Gabe,
Yeah, we had one of our graduates. He said to me, he said, to become a teacher is to sign your name in the book of poverty, and I never forgot that. And yet he's teaching himself. And so I don't know if they are getting paid, but if it's a government school, odds are they're not getting paid very much at all.
hopefully one day that's not, we need those teachers. Hopefully they're someday compensated for that. So someone has commented that South Sudan has not reported cases for COVID since July 2nd. So maybe there is no way to monitor the pandemic there. Do you have any response to that or a sense of that?
Yeah, we are aware of that. The government just basically shut down their testing. We don't know why, and we continue taking all the precautions. We continue being vigilant, but we really have no idea where the disease is in the country right now, except when we hear various groups, mostly religious groups, will report. And we just heard that one of the POCs had like 13 new cases. So these things are dribbling in, but they are no longer centralized by the government, which is a pity. I don't know why they did that.
Gabe, another question that I had for you is we talk a lot about resiliency and how folks just keep going. And you've mentioned the women are a great example of that. Are there some other signs of resiliency that you've seen in your time in South Sudan?
Well, yeah, I've met so many individuals, just solidarity. It just keeps going. In Yambio, and so cash has to be hand carried by authorities, and that is just endemic here. Things are generators. Hello.
Gabe, you're breaking up a little bit. So I heard something about youth and I heard something about cash being hand carried, but I couldn't hear anything in between.
We have to carry the cash by hand because there is no banking system that is reliable. As you can see with the internet, it's very difficult. And with the notes, you get how can continue to operate beyond it's a miracle. And so when you talk about resiliency, these people just don't give up. The roads are absolutely terrible, and we fly to most of the places we go. There's hardly any, almost all the food in this country is brought in from Uganda or Kenya. Almost all the supplies, building supplies, cement, nails, hammers, whatever, clothes, it's all brought into the country. So the COVID-19 shut the borders. That was very, very hard on the economy here. Yet somehow these people are surviving. It's just amazing to me. These individuals who are just doing anything they can. And I met a young boy. He was collecting empty water bottles. And I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I collect them and I sell them." I said, "How much do you get for one bottle?" He said, 1 penny. And I said, "So if you collect 100, you get $1. And he said, "No." He said he has to collect 200 because their penny is not equal to ours. And so this boy had a big bag. He's going around collecting these. I said, "What do they use them for?" And they said they put fuel in the bottle and they sell it by the 500 milliliters. Or the women will make juice and put it in the bottles and resell. So people are just trying to find ways to survive here. And that's, to me, that is what is really fantastic.
Gabe, I know we spoke a little bit before we started the interview just about the demographics there, and it's a young population. The median age is about 18.6 years old, with 40% or so of your population under the age of 14. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of just having such a young population and how that comes into play when you're trying to sort of overcome different challenges?
Well, one of the problems is with a young population like that, we just unofficially, we have heard 2.8 million children under 17 are not getting any education at all in schools. I just heard that from the Ministry of Education, which means that they're growing up with no understanding and no hope. And they turn to the drugs and the violence. And this is a real waste of your number one resource in your country is your youth. And so a lot of frustrated youth right now at the university level, as well as down to the high schools and schools. And kids are growing up frustrated. And that's a problem for the government eventually. And it's already starting to show there's many cracks. That's why I like Solidarity. They're working with trying to get teachers out there so these kids can get in school. But there's so many of them. So we'll see what happens in the future.
So it looks like we have reached the end of questions folks have sent in. Gabe, I just want to thank you for coming and joining us today. I know that technology can sometimes be challenging, and I appreciate you doing everything to make that work so that you could share some of your experiences with us.
You're welcome.
I also would like to give a huge thanks to Chris Keaveney, who is our tech person for Meet a Missioner Monday. This would not have been possible without Chris figuring out how to get all of this technology to work together. So thank you, Chris, for making this happen every single week. Gabe, do you have any sort of final words of hope? What do you want folks who are maybe watching this to take away as they're thinking about South Sudan?
Well, you know, we are going through a worldwide disruption right now. People are stressed out and frustrated, and others are taking advantage of it. It's not an easy time for people, but I always say, just remember the poor. There's always somebody worse off than you are, and I'm in a country that's having difficulties as well, and so we're all working to try to make this world a good place. So let's hope we can all do our little part and see if we can improve this earth that we live on. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Gabe. If you would like to learn more about Gabe's work, he is great at sending in stories to Maryknoll Lay Missioners. There's a link on your screen and will also be in the comments where you can read more of Gabe's stories. We also put a link up there for Solidarity with South Sudan if you would like to learn more about their organization and some of the other projects that they're working with. Our one last little advertisement we would like to do is Maryknoll Office of Global Concerns, which is the advocacy arm for the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers, Sisters, and the Lay Missioners, has been doing different briefings on faithful voting, and they do just short, low webinars. So the link is there on your screen if you would like to learn more. The one last week was on sanctions, and I know, speaking for myself, sanctions is not something I spend a lot of time every day thinking about, so it was very insightful to learn more about sanctions, how our government has been using them, how they are or not effective. So I definitely wanted to recommend that resource from the Maryknoll Office of Global Concerns. And then to let everyone know, we will be back here next week. We are just traveling a little ways from where Gabe is in South Sudan to Tanzania to speak with another one of our lay missioners, Lois Verizor, who works as a teacher there. And so we look forward to hearing from her. And then for any University of Dayton folks watching, we have another UD alum that will be with us on August 3rd. Jill Foster will be joining us from Haiti on August 3rd. So if you tuned in because you love UD and wanted to hear from Gabe as a UD alum, come back on August 3rd as well to hear from another UD alum. As always, please be safe, stay well, and peace be with you.